Hello, I'm Jessica, and I'm going to be talking about the leader-member exchange theory, also known as LMX. All this information comes from the text by Northhouse um, that we've been using for our class thus far. So LMX differs from other theories because it focuses on interactions between leaders and followers, whereas previously we would focus on how leaders react towards their followers solely. Um, so, as discussed in the text by Northhouse, the definition of LMX theory is that LMX theory makes the dyadic relationship between leaders and followers the focal point of the leadership process. And this definition is found on page 140. Before this theory, as I mentioned before, researchers treated leaders as something leaders did towards their followers, whereas with LMX, we now look at how leaders interact with each of their followers individually. So LMX previously was known as the vertical dyad linkage theory. There were two types of linkages that were found here, the in-group and the out-group. In-groups were based on expanded and negotiated role responsibilities where individuals took on extra tasks at their own will, and this provided them with more benefits going forward. Whereas the out-groups were based on formal employment contracts where the employee went to work, did their job, left when they were done, and did not take on any extra tasks. And with that, they did not get any extra benefits. But with that being said, both in-groups and out-groups got the same fair employment opportunities that were in their contracts to begin with. So that was the original focus of LMX. Further research now looks at how LMX theory was related to organizations' effectiveness. They found that higher quality leader-member exchange resulted in a few things. And these are less employee turnover, more positive performance evaluations, higher frequency of promotions, greater organizational commitment, more desirable work assignments, better job attitudes, more attention and support from leaders, greater participation, and faster career progress. And I believe in the text that was over a 25-year period. So there are three phases in leadership that are discussed in the text, or leadership making that are discussed in the text. The first is the stranger phase. So here, leaders and followers are just getting to know each other. Their relationship is based solely on roles, and they relate to one another via their assigned roles, and not really anything further than that. The second phase is the acquaintance phase. So here, the leader is providing the follower with a chance to grow within their role. They offer opportunities to take on more tasks and responsibilities, and this paves the way for the relationship in the future. It lets the leader know if the follower wants to become part of that in-group or the out-group, if they want to take on the extra roles to get more involved and to grow more, or if they're the type of person who just wants to come to work, leave, and call it a day. So then lastly, the mature partnership phase. Here, the leader and the follower have a high degree of mutual respect towards each other. They've tested their relationship and they know that they can depend on one another, and they know the expectations of each other as well. So here, the leader may know that their follower wants to be a part of that in-group. They want to take on extra assignments and extra tasks. So the leader at this point can ask the follower to take on those extra roles, and they expect the answer to be yes. So to apply the LMX theory, leaders must be aware of how they relate to their followers, and this is something that they need in order to be competent in practicing the LMX theory. In order to teach these concepts to new leaders, it's important for these leaders to be aware of their relationship perspectives and to ensure that they don't have biases. They can't go into work and say, well, I'm only going to allow employees over the age of 50 become in the in-group because less than that, they're not going to be experienced enough and they have to belong in the out-group. That's inappropriate, and that's something that they need to be aware of before they start learning the LMX theory. So the best way for leaders in training to learn these theories and behaviors is to be respectful to all followers and allow each follower a chance to build relationships with the leaders. This is important because each follower is unique and they're going to want to have different types of relationships with their leaders. Um, and then awareness is needed by followers to understand that it's also their responsibility to decide if they want to be in the in group or the out group. If a leader is doing their job correctly, then every single employee should have the opportunity to determine which section they want to be in. So any employee should have the opportunity to be in the in group if they so desire to do so. With my personal experiences, I feel a direct relationship to this theory with just beginning my career as a nurse. I'm definitely the type of person where I want to be a part of that in group. I want to take on extra roles and tasks, and I plan to be a preceptor as soon as I can, and maybe within a year or two start performing as a charge nurse so I can get more involved and gain the trust of my managers, and be able to grow as much as possible. But then there are people who I now realize after reading this chapter are definitely a part of that out group. There's this woman I work with who's been a nurse there for 30 years, and she is so intelligent. She taught me something the other day, and I asked her, I was like, oh, like, why are you not a preceptor? And she said, oh, I want no part of that. I never have. I'm not going to do that. I come to work, and then I leave, and that's all I want. And she has the respect of our management team. They know her expectations, and she knows theirs. And she obviously has been there for 30 years, so there's not a major problem. They just understand what each other needs. I didn't realize that the LMX theory, in a way, was being practiced on my floor until reading this chapter. So it's been really cool to be able to relate the theory to my everyday job. So it's pretty cool. And then a theory that I think really complements the LMX theory is the path goal theory. I'm not sure if this is because it's pretty recent that we learned about it, but the path goal theory, according to Northhouse in the text, looks at how leaders motivate their followers to accomplish their designated goals. So it focuses on what motivates their followers, and I think that this can be related to the LMX theory because the LMX theory looks at how or why different employees are motivated to become part of that in-group or that out-group. And the path goal theory believes that leaders must engage in behaviors that motivates their followers. So they can do this by practicing the LMX theory, by providing all of their followers that opportunity to be part of the in-group or the out-group, and motivating them to be the determining factor of which group they want to be a part of. So overall, I think that LMX theory is very important in the workplace. I think that employees need the opportunity to determine what they want to get out of their job. So do they want to be a part of that in-group and get involved and have a lot of responsibility or trust on their shoulders when they go to work? Or do they want to be in that group where they go to work, they don't do extra, they go home? Both types of people are needed in the workplace, and it's just interesting how different personalities can determine that they would rather be in different groups. So as the type of person who wants to be a part of that in-group, I couldn't imagine going to work and just showing up and saying, okay, thank you, see you later. I'm not going to do anything extra that you asked me. Oh, and then also I want to talk about really quick, I forgot to mention in the relation or personal experiences section, I think that in my current role, I'm still in that stranger phase a little bit, because I'm just getting to know my management team, and we're still our relationship is still solely based off of our known expectations. But I will say that I'm starting to get closer to that acquaintance phase, I feel, because my managers are now starting to reach out. Hey, do you want to work overtime, or do you want to do a little bit extra for us this day or that day? Which I really am starting to enjoy that stage of our leadership relationship. But with that being said, I think it's really cool to be able to learn these concepts and apply them to my everyday job and work life. And I look forward to learning more in the future. Thank you.